Gonna get everything set up here. All right, everyone. Well, it's 11 o'clock, so I guess we're just gonna go ahead and get started here. We're just kind of gonna be hanging out today. We're not gonna be doing anything too crazy. I have a fat stack of books, that we're gonna be taking a look at today. I have picked up some things from the local comic shop. And then as well, I have a couple of various things, toys, video games, and whatnot that I've picked up from a couple other places. Felt like this would be a good opportunity to just kind of go live today, shoot the shit with everybody, just kind of hang out for an hour or two, and then we'll call it. And as well, I'm just going to be organizing comics. I'm just going to be sitting, bagging and boarding comics. So, just going to hang out and just chat with everyone. So the first two things that I wanted to take a look at was going to be these Nexus issues. I honestly didn't even know that these things were even coming out. The guy at the comic shop, he stuck these in my box because he knows that I'm a big Steve Rude slash Nexus guy. So I had gone in and these two issues were pulled. I didn't even know these were coming out. I didn't even know this was a thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Barron, which is extremely funny to me considering how much I like Nexus. I think a lot of his ideas and his writing is very out there. So you kind of have to be, mm, I don't know what's like the word I'm looking for, but a little on the weirder side of things to like it. It's not for everyone. Let's just leave it at that. So with that being said, I haven't even really looked through these books at all. I flipped through it a little bit just to kind of get an idea of what's going on. I'm more of a Steve Rude fan than a Nexus fan, if that makes sense. So when he doesn't really draw any of the issues, I don't really check it out. And he had nothing to do with this. We had Kelsey Shannon's on this and did the cover as well. And out of all the Steve Rude knockoffs that I see, this isn't a bad one. I wouldn't even really call call this like a Steve Rude knockoff. This is just, the Nexus aesthetic. But you do get a lot of artists who do Nexus besides Steve Rude who just try to do Steve Rude and can't do a Steve Rude, so it just doesn't look right. As opposed to where this, I think that the artist is actually sitting down and giving it their own spin. So that's one of the cooler things about it. So I'm guessing they were just only doing a 2-page shindig because they're just wrapping it up right here at the epic conclusion. Let's see. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and read this stuff, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Oh, this is cool. It's like a Silver Surfer, dude. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on in it, but just from looking at it, there's like a weird like golf story going on, which I'm kind of down with, to be honest with you. So we'll probably end up sitting down and doing a review of these books. I'll honestly probably set them aside because I actually want to sit down and do a deeper dive onto these. I thought this was kind of funny when I flipped this over and saw this, that there was an artist edition of Manowar coming out. It's like, this is the dollar bin special. Every dollar bin I've ever dug through at any comic book shop, there's at least, 10 issues of this sitting in it. So I thought this was kind of funny that they're going to be doing an artist edition of this. Valiant's trying. Grab some bags of boards here. Get this thing in the damn bag. This is like one of the worst. There we go. One of the worst things I hate about comic collecting is having to organize this stuff, right? It's like the worst part is just trying to get these comics back in the bag. Sometimes such a pain. There we go. Too funny. All right. Well, let's go ahead and change it up. So let's see if anybody's even paying attention to these videos. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be giving away the first 3 issues of this Blade run. I have number 2 and number 3 still completely sealed up. Number 1 has been opened up. I don't particularly care for these books, so I'm not even going to bother reading the rest of them. The number 1 was just kind of disappointing to me. However, some people might like this stuff. So I will give away the first 3 issues of this to somebody who leaves a comment on the video, just basically just stating that, that you would like the giveaway. Tell me what you like about Blade, and then as well, send me an email, and you can find my email on the channel. Send me an email with it, that you letting me know that you had left a comment. And whoever, leaves the very first comment and whoever emails me first will have grabs at it. Let's just see if anybody's paying attention. Free comics, people. And I will leave that offer open for 1 week. So today is the 19th on Sunday. So that gives you until the following Sunday to get back to me then. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. So we got some cartoon comics. Good old Johnny Quest. So as far as these cartoon comics go, everybody knows that this is kind of something that I've been pointing to a lot in a lot of my haul videos are the Space Ghost and Johnny Quest books. Can't recommend them enough. I think especially what Joe Casey and Sebastian Perez is doing here, and as well Lorenzo Scaramella, the coloring in this Johnny Quest book is so good. All of them, it's just fantastic work. If I ever had the opportunity to get somebody to color my comics, I would be calling this dude up immediately. The color combinations are so good. It reminds me of like a mid 2000s Bond movie. You know what I mean? It kind of has like that Daniel uh, whatever the hell his name is. I can't remember what his name is. That's terrible. But the Casino Royale and Skyfall and that kind of like that sort of aesthetic also reminds me a lot of the like Hitman World of Assassination aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like the like Mumbai level, especially, it reminds me a lot of. So yeah, like I said, I cannot recommend these Johnny Quest comics enough. They are amongst my favorite cartoon comics. Coloring in it's fantastic. The drawing in them's fantastic. The stories in them are fantastic. If you don't have it on your pull list, you definitely should be adding the Johnny Quest comics to your pull list. Grabbing a bag and board. We're also going to be taking a look at some video games and toys as well. You know, I do collect games and toys, so I figured we might as well throw that stuff in the video and kind of share what I have. I have a stack of Dreamcast games beside me right now that I'm about to show off. Alright, so the first game that I wanted to show off here was just a copy of Virtua Tennis. I had recently acquired a Dreamcast. I've never had a Dreamcast when, growing up. I was always a Nintendo kid slash had a PlayStation. So never really, had the opportunity to have any Sega systems. I had friends growing up, who had Dreamcast or Saturns, Genesis, you name it. Virtua Tennis is a badass game. I think I want to say that I played this in an arcade somewhere. The arcade name I can't remember, but Virtua Tennis is a classic. I think that this is pretty much the golden standard when it comes to tennis games, especially sports games. Keep them arcadey, keep them fun, but still keep it a little grounded in the actual sport itself. Virtua Tennis. Next game I wanted to show off that I picked up a copy of Crazy Taxi 2. Crazy Taxi is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Crazy Taxi 2 is probably my second favorite Crazy Taxi game. Pun intended, I guess. I think the first Crazy Taxi, especially the version that came out on the PS2, I think that's the strongest version of Crazy Taxi. You get all of the maps, you get all of the drivers, there's different modes and whatnot that's in there. All the soundtrack is still intact. Crazy Taxi 2 was still a lot of fun, especially the Dreamcast version. It controls very well, it runs at full frames, there really isn't any performance issues or anything like that in the game. And then when it comes to Crazy Taxi 3, I think they jumped the shark a little bit. They tried doing a little too much with the franchise, so it kind of struggled because of that. Sega's in the process of, kind of redoing their old vintage video game stuff, so they're going to be remaking Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe. There's a couple other game franchises in there that they're going to be redoing, so we'll see how those turn out, if they're actually going to be putting those out. Sega's been on fire lately, especially with the Yakuza games and the Persona games, so we'll see. Alright, so this is going to be the third game that I wanted to show off that we're going to be taking a look at today. So this is Silent Scope from Konami. Silent Scope, again, is just an arcade title that was ported over to the home console. This is actually a really good port. If you aren't familiar with Silent Scope, basically the arcade machine would have literally a sniper rifle on it, and it would have a screen on the opposite side of the of the scope. The screen itself would be fairly small and far away from the actual gun, so when you're actually looking through the scope on a sniper rifle, it actually has that effect like you're looking through a magnification device. So it's just kind of like an arcade shooter, like any other light gun game. People like pop up on rooftops, and you just kind of have to shoot them. Planes fly at you, you kind of have to shoot them. Boss fights on, traveling down road chases and things like that. It's just a high octane, fun 90s arcade, light shooter. It works great with the controller. You don't need a light gun. So I recommend to play Silent Scope if you've never checked it out before. It's a good port. It runs well. There isn't any performance issues from what I've seen, and there's also training modes in here to where you can kind of like practice with it if you wanted to. There's just like fun little mini games. So Silent Scope. Alright, so this is going to be the last game that I had picked up. This is going to be Phantasy Star Online, again for the Dreamcast. I have played a little bit of PSO2, but not much. And I am enough into the weeds for Dreamcast games or just video games in general to where it's like I'm willing to pop this thing online, get a dial-up connection, or mod up the Dreamcast where I can take it back online to play this online. I have messed around with trying to get this thing to activate on, like a GameCube, and I couldn't get it to work up, so I'm not entirely sure what was up with that, but hopefully I can get this Dreamcast version up and going on online and get going playing with some people. Try some Phantasy Star Online. Alright. So this is going to be the next thing that I want to just take a look at today. Of course, as everybody knows, I love my cartoon comics, love my Powerpuff Girls. So we got Silva Di Ventura and Carlo Lauro on here for the pencil inker. I really like how they're a team between the two on these Powerpuff Girls comics, and I really like their art style. I think that they have their own aesthetic when it comes to, using Craig McCracken's art, and then also adding in their own little flair to it, so they're not completely ripping them off, but also staying true to the actual source material itself. Again, if you guys aren't on these Dynamite cartoon comics when it comes to Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, really sleeping on them. Really sleeping on them. Yeah, just do a little fast little flip throughs. Just kind of let you guys see, what I picked up. Oh, this is a cool drawing. Really cool splash page. Who's everybody's favorite Powerpuff Girl? I think I like Bubbles the most, personally. Yeah, dude. This is one of the better issues I've seen, just from the drawings in it. This looks like it's a good one, so I'm honestly excited to get into this one a little bit more. Like I said, I literally just picked these. Ooh, it looks like we're going to be having some, like, anti-Space Ghost dude coming in here. Yes, issue 10 is going to be coming up here soon. So not too sure what that's about. Take a look at our variants that we got. Yeah, I think that this incentive cover is probably the strongest one out of all of them. Some of these other ones are a little too busy for me, I think. Powerpuff Girls. Just grabbing a bag and board here real quick. Put this bad boy away. I'm gonna grab another comic. Probably gonna be doing this for a little while. Okay, since we're on the subject of cartoon comics, we got Space Ghost by Dynamite. This is going to be the number 8. This has been the same creation team across the board. Haven't had the chance, again, none of these to look through yet, so I'm super excited to flip through this with you guys for the first time to kind of take a look at what's going on art-wise. I had said this in my last haul video when I had pulled out some Space Ghost, that the aesthetic of these Space Ghost issues reminds me a lot of like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. How there's a lot of overexposure colors and lens flare going on. And that sort of aesthetic, that's what it reminds me a lot of. Yeah, dude. These Space Ghost comics are so good. This dude's fucking sweet looking. Amazing stuff, man. Like, I want to say that I had given this my comic of the year last year. I could be wrong. It's been a month and a half since I put that video out, so I can't recall. But I want to say maybe the Akira collection was my number 1 option of last year, but man, these Space Ghost issues are so good. There has yet to be a bad one. Like, there was an issue that was just kind of like, and it was just kind of filler, but sometimes you have to do that. However, man, all of these issues are just bangers, man. There isn't a bad, like, or boring drawing in any of these panels. Like, this one right here, it's just people talking, and it's still dynamic looking. Dude. Yeah, this is probably one of the stronger Space Ghost comics that I've seen, and all of them are very good, and this is probably one of the more badass ones that I have now. So, this collection, they put out one back in November of the first 6 issues, so I'd highly recommend to grab that if you haven't done so already. I'm sure that they're probably going to end up doing a bigger collection of this, and I hope that they keep going on this, like, past 10 issues. I'd love to see at least like a 30 issue run of this. This Space Ghost stuff is so good. And as well, again, anybody's paying attention, pretty much any one of these live streams like I'm going to be doing, I'm at least going to be giving, something away, a comic, a toy. It really doesn't make a difference. I have a lot of things that I'm willing to get rid of and share with you guys. So, the more participation that we get on these videos and the more participation that we get in these live streams, the more that I can give away and the more that I'm willing to give away. So just do keep that in mind. Okay, so this is going to be more of a weirder one. So this is going to be the uncensored mouse. I'm going to break this open so I can show it to you guys. All right, so this was pitched to me from the dude at the comic shop that this is basically a bunch of Mickey Mouse underground bootleg comics, I guess is the way that it was kind of phrased to me. That is not the case. So it's actually what this is, and it's far more interesting than what he had made it out to be. It is actually, so you can kind of see what it says here. This is, comic strips from, back in the day that Disney had put out that they were, they're not, they're not okay with nowadays. So some of it could have like racial connotations to it, could have sexist connotations to it. A lot of the stuff that's in this isn't any of that, to be honest with you. It's just kind of like, here's Mickey Mouse holding a machine gun and like gunning down stuff. So it's still cartoony, and I still think that it is still YouTube friendly enough that I can still show this. There is a little bit of, there's like 2 pages, 3 pages in this that are like a little racy, but it's more, I guess, stereotyping than it is racial. So it's like however you feel about that sort of thing, it is what it is. It's underground comics, people. You're gonna run into this kind of stuff. Especially, these are comics from the 30s, so do what you will with that. It's the time and place sort of thing. But that was the whole point of this book, is that, hey, we're gonna publish a bunch of Disney stuff that Disney doesn't want to publish anymore because, of those connotations that I was talking about. But like I said, I flipped through this, and a lot of this stuff that's not the case. It's just, we probably can't put this out because we can't be showing a Mickey Mouse with a shotgun blowing some dude's face off. Even though it is cartoony and it's still in the art department, it still has that Disney aesthetic to it. Still can't be showing that, right? So that's just kind of what you're dealing with in this book. And when we see what I mean, so it's like, here we go with like him holding like a shotgun rifle sort of thing, going out and, blasting animals with it. So here he is with like I love this panel though, it's so good. Say your prayers, big boy. This is your finish. He's about to blow that lion's head off, and then you get to the next page. It's just a little cork gun, so the lion just fucks him up. It's pretty funny. Goes to get him, and he just jumps in the lion's mouth, or the croc's mouth. So yeah, it's just fun stuff, and we got like Mickey Mouse up here like cussing, and it's just censored out still. So, but yeah, so see, this is what I was talking about when it comes to like that racial sort of thing. Obviously, they are stereotyping, African tribes and things like that here, with them being hungry, and with this, I mean, come on, like this is just. Let's be honest here, like this is just straight up like racist in a lot of eyes. It's definitely not in good light, that's for sure. Like I said, this comic is a time and place sort of thing, and that was the purpose of this book. And that is about the only thing that's in here that's like questionable is really those drawings. The rest of this stuff, it's just more adult content in the comics that Disney just doesn't want to put these out anymore. So again, see, we're still here with like these drawings. And then it's done. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really not that big of a deal. It's more just, like it's just those stereotypical drawings. And that's one of the cool things too, is that some of the stuff they just straight up have scans of the actual newspapers themselves. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, these uncensored old vintage Mickey Mouse comic strips that Disney doesn't want to publish anymore, but these companies put out anyways. So the Uncensored Mouse is a pretty interesting book. Dinosaurs for Hire is a interesting thing. I have a couple issues of that. It's definitely just a Turtles knockoff, but Uncensored Mouse, interesting book. Alright, so this is going to be Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. If you don't know, Understanding Comics, and you are into comics as an art form, or you're into comics because you are an artist, or you're into comics and you want to know more, you know, about the storytelling techniques, you know, actually what makes a comic book a piece of art rather than just, you know, a throwaway sort of a kids thing, right? That's more or less what this book is about. It's kind of like understanding the nuances on what makes a comic a comic. He did do another thing, and I think it's called Making Comics. I don't have a copy of that. I've seen it float around online, and every once in a while when you go to like Barnes and Noble, you'll see it on the shelf. It's pretty rare though that you actually do see them, because typically when they do go out, I think they get bought up, because these books are pretty prolific. I don't think that these books is something that you should, you know, take by gospel and everything in it. You should be like, oh yeah, that's, you know, that's the way to do things. It's more, when you take advice from people, you kind of have to, you know, take bits and pieces in what you think works out, you know, for yourself, rather than just copying everything to it, you know, to a T. So we're just gonna go ahead and just flip through this a little bit and just kind of explain, you know, what we're looking at. Just 1 second. All right, sorry about that. The old cat was scratching at the door. Okay. So we're just gonna go ahead and flip through this just to show a couple pages and kind of, you know, what we're looking at. There's a pretty good breakdown that Cartoonist Kayfabe had done of this book. I don't think personally that I'm actually going to sit and go through this. That's not really what this channel is about. This channel specifically, you know, is more about sharing things that I like with you guys that hopefully spark some interest in some, you know, weirder, obscure comics, or even getting your, you know, mind going to maybe start doing videos, maybe start drawing, you know, just reaching outside your comfort zone and just doing other things. That's kind of what I want to do here, is encourage people to, you know, to better themselves, basically. However, which way you can do it, and if that's how I'm going to do it through comics and art, then so be it. But like I said, we're just gonna look at a handful of pages here and just kind of moving on. So here, you know, he's talking about how hieroglyphics go back and how that's kind of a comic, and how far back, you know, comics and visual art goes. So it's not like it's necessarily, you know, the format of the comic book is still somewhat of a new medium when you kind of think about it in the grand scheme of things. When you talk about visual storytelling, example, he was just talking about hieroglyphics, right? So that's just an example. Here we're kind of talking about the Japanese influences that came over, what to do with that. And like I said, this is more of a, like an analysis on what makes comics art. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, he knows what's up, man. And Scott McCloud isn't one of my favorite artists. I just, again, this is just one of those books that I think that if you take comics seriously, like this is something that you should just have. I have his Five Little Comics by Scott McCloud. That's a fun little thing, but for the most part, though, I think that this is his swan song, and a lot of people can agree with that. All right, let's get into the weeds a little bit. If you guys have been around and paying attention to my posts and whatnot and my videos, I've been talking about doing this damn mask video for some time. Guys, I'm still in the process of doing it. Basically, it has become such a larger project than I was anticipating. Originally, I was just like, hey, I'm just going to kind of talk about the mask comics and just kind of move on. Then it turned into, I like the property enough that I want to do more with it. So it was, hey, let's grab, first appearances of Mask. Let's grab Dark Horse Presents with Mask in it. Let's grab the movie adaptations. Let's grab Mask Adventures. Let's grab Mask Toys. Let's, compare the comics to the movies. Let's compare the movie adaptation comic to the actual movie itself to see if there's anything that changed there. So it basically became really ambitious. So it's been delayed, and obviously I'm still working on it, so because I'm still picking up things for it. About to get real nerdy for you guys. So the reasoning why I picked up The Mask on VHS is because, as you guys know, big Space Ghost Mark. Space Ghost is like one of my all-time favorite characters. Coast to Coast especially, I love that show. There is an interview, and this is again the VHS copy of Mask. There is, at the very end of this VHS tape, there is a Space Ghost Coast to Coast interview that Jim Carrey did at the time that this movie before it had come out. So not only do you get Mask, but you get Space Ghost in this VHS. So if you are a Space Ghost collector and you do not have this is a real deep cut Space Ghost collector thing to have in your collection if you already don't have it. So get real deep cut for you guys. So this is a fun book. Cinema Purgatorio, I guess is how you would pronounce that. Um, so this is more or less just like an anthology book, but there's just a bunch of random stuff in here. I think I'll have another copy or another issue of this somewhere. Uh, for all things considered, this thing was $6 when it came out, man, and it can't be super old. Like, how old is this? 2016. That's fucking nonsense. That's crazy that this thing was $6. Nonetheless, so yeah, this is just an anthology book. Dude, the art in this thing is actually like really sick. Uh, and it reminds me a lot of that, especially this right here. It reminds me a lot of that original Mask, MASQUE Mask from Dark Horse Presents and that sort of thing. That's what it really reminds me of. But the drawings in this book are super crazy, man. The dinosaur stuff that's in here is super cool. This King Kong stuff. But basically what they're doing is they're just kind of going through, movies, I guess, and kind of like breaking them down into their own, like, sort of comics. So this has, like, super strong outlaw vibes to me. The cars, the drawings, the faces, outlaw artists have a very, like, they have a very specific way on how to draw faces, all of them. Everybody from Ben Merritt to Rick Veitch, and, you name them, it's like they all draw faces the same. It's like this very squared off head. Here in these faces, not so much. But some of them, man, when you see it, you know. Yeah, this is a super strong drawing right here. Such a cool book. I love anthology books, so just getting a variety of things in here, so cool. Black and white as well. Love my black and whites. I have already looked through this and flipped through this. I don't even remember this. What the hell is this thing? It's just Frogman with a penis Gatling gun. Alrighty then. I mean, I don't even know how to feel about this drawing, but it's pretty cool though. Very interesting to say the least. That's why you guys are here, is because I collect the weird things, right? So yeah, this is a weird one. I'm down with it though. So down with it. Well, that's interesting. Got something from Max Brooks in here. Mel Brooks' kid of Zombie Survival Guide fame. Yeah, the art in this I think is kind of weak. It's definitely over digitized. Like you can just tell a computer cranked it out. You know what I mean? Oh, dude, this is so cool. A little busy. Yeah, dude, this kaiju stuff, it's so good. But yeah, Cinema Purgatorio, really cool anthology book. Yeah, I paid $6 for this, so a little more than sticker price. I think that it's worth it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a back issue now at this point, and it has a lot of really cool drawings in here and really obscure drawings. So if you're somebody who likes to collect the sort of things that I do, this is something I recommend to pick it up. Grab a bag and board here and stick it in the bag that I purchased it out of. That thing was nasty, man. I like to keep them somewhat fresh. I think that this board is too wide. Yeah, that board doesn't fit. The comic shop reuses bags and boards on things, so they get, and you know, they get pulled in and out of the bins a lot, so they get real nasty, man. Come on, there we go. Such a pain in the ass sometimes. Music for Mechanics. Good old Los Bros Hernandez brothers. So this is going to be through Fantagraphics Books. I kind of shit myself when I saw this at the comic book shop, because my comic book shop never gets Fantagraphics stuff, like, ever. And to be honest with you, a lot of the comic shops around here don't get this kind of stuff. So when I saw this at the comic book shop, like I said, I about shit my pants. So Love and Rockets is one of those things that I'm really fond of. The Hernandez brothers, I really look up to. I think that their art is very unique looking, and they come from that, again, that Dan Klaus Fantagraphic style of art, to where there's a lot of cartooniness in what they're doing, a lot of Tothian stuff in what they're doing, as you can, you know, kind of tell here. But it still has a realistic, grounded manner to it, to where it's very believable, even though some of the stuff, it's kind of crazy in what they're doing. You know, in these early Love and Rockets issues, it's a lot of superhero-y kind of things that are going on. and it's extremely believable, and that's one of the reasons why I love, sorry for the lack of a better term, love and Rockets so much, is because how believable everything is, even if it gets super ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like somehow the Hernandez brothers mastered professional wrestling. You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of the goal that professional wrestling has been chasing since day one. It's like no matter how ridiculous things can get, it still has to be believable. And the Hernandez brothers, they are, I think, the prime example in doing that. Again, this is like the first handful of issues of Love and Rockets. I have a couple of issues of Love and Rockets. This is the stuff that they come in, it's a larger magazine size. They get a little pricier. I typically, when I do purchase these, I have to get them through my buddy Dave over at West Coast State Vendors. He's in Seattle, and Fantagraphics is based out of Seattle, so he has a lot of access to these style of books. As towards like inverse, I'm in Wisconsin, so I have a lot of access to like deeper kitchen sink books and things like that in the underground that people might not have access to in other areas. So if you are somebody who might be over on the West Coast or like in Canada, for example, you know, elsewhere, and you need kitchen sink comics and there's things that you're looking forward to add to your collection that might be a little pricey that you're trying to hunt down, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to see if that's something that we can track down and work out, something to get shipped out to you. I'm all down for helping out that kind of stuff. So that's the thing with being in Wisconsin, man. It's like Capital Comics and Kitchen Sink Comics were based out of Madison, so it's like they're well, Kitchen Sink wasn't based out of Madison. I can't remember where they were specifically, but man, that stuff is just literally everywhere, and I have a lot of deep cut kitchen sink stuff in my collection. So all right, so this is at the beginning of the video, you kind of had seen while we were getting ready to do the stream, I had these sitting out. So these later Beavis and Butthead issues are a pain in the ass to find. The Beavis and Butthead thing, I think, is one of the more favorite things that I do on this channel that people seem to enjoy. So I'm going to continue to do them. The Ren and Stimpy stuff, I wanted to do kind of in the same light, and I honestly thought that the Ren and Stimpy was going to get more traction than what the Beavis and Butthead stuff did. It did not. I still plan on doing a Beavis and Butthead, or sorry, a Ren and Stimpy video probably this month. I want to at least alternate them between the month, if not do this every month, so that way we get more Beavis and Butthead stuff. That's why I acquired more of these comics. I own some of the later issues of this, but after anything pretty much after 10, you just do not see out in the wild, and you kind of have to start purchasing off of eBay, which ultimately what English, Sam, ultimately is what I ended up having to do here, was go to eBay. Man, every time I go to any comic book shop around the area, I dig through their Marvel stuff, miscellaneous, their B's and their R's, try to find Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy comics. Dude, you only see the early issues, period. That's all you see. You don't see those later low print run issues. So again, you kind of have to resort to eBay. And the thing that I recommend to do if you want to start getting into the Beavis and Butthead books is to buy a lot, and to find a lot specifically with later issues, because you will have no problem finding early issues in comic shops, and for the most part you can honestly kind of find them in dollar bin issues. I see every once in a while. And also make sure when you go to like a comic book shop that you're asking where their kids comics are, because some comic shops, they will have like a specific kids section, and they will put like Ren and Stimpy comics, Beavis and Butthead comics, and cartoon related comics in those sorts of sections. So even though they are like quote unquote kids comic sections, where like Sesame Street would be or whatever, those sorts of things, these will be in there. Like one of the shops, a couple towns over from where I'm at, that's how they roll. Like, you'll go in, you'll be flipping through all their stuff, and you don't see anything. And I finally got to the point where I was like, just out of curiosity, because they had a website. I had seen that they had those books on the website, so I was like, maybe somebody had bought them and it hasn't been refreshed, whatever the case is. So I went and found somebody and asked, and they're like, oh no, like it's actually in our kids section. So the dude like walked me over to their little like short box, long box, whatever it was, but nothing but just like kids comics in it, right? So it had Muppets and all that kind of crap in there, and I started digging, found Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy in there. So keep that in mind. You know, it's just kind of the things that you learn while you're out digging for stuff to kind of ask. So when I did put the order in for this, so we got 15, we got 17, we got 18, we got 19, and we got 20. So real late issues. The thing when I had purchased, though, off of the website, I actually had purchased 16, 17, 18, I want to say. So it was 16, 17, 18, and 19 I had purchased were the 4. But I got 15, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So I got 2 comics for free, and I'm missing the 16 technically. So seller kind of jacked up on it, but it's no big deal. I got 2 free comics out of it, so that's the way that I see it. We're not going to flip these open and look at them. You know, that's going to be in its own Beavis and Butthead video for obvious reasons. And the Beavis and Butthead stuff, we're going to go in sequential order. I think last time we ended on issue... So yeah, it would have been issue 6 we stopped on, I want to say. So then, yeah, so next time it's going to be 7, 8, and issues 7, 8, and 9. So then, yeah, we got plenty more here to go. Got a book. I just got to break out of its wrapper here. Got to change its bag and board. It's pretty dingy. But we'll go ahead and take a look at it. War is Hell is one of my favorite franchises. I think I may have shown this in the previous video. Honestly, I cannot remember. But if you do not know War is Hell, basically they are Marvel war comics. You know, from the 60s, 70s, so on and so forth. Actually, I want to say it's actually just 70s, and then it possibly rolled into the 80s, for sure. But basically, they're war stories that have supernatural elements into them, and I think that they have super strong drawings in them. Like, look at this thing, man. Crazy how good that thing is. Herb Trimpe. I had seen this somewhere recently, and I wish I could remember where I saw this dude's name at. That is going to bug me to no end, man. I'm gonna have to look him up now, and see what I can find. Good old Magos, man. Yeah, this lizard one is iconic. That soft goods jacket's so good. I used to have a couple Mego figures, but I've sold them off as time has gone on. They're kind of they're an acquired taste, you know what I mean? I love them, and my attachment to them actually comes from Robot Chicken. That's what they use in a lot of their animation, you know. So that's my connection to it. But I had a Joker, and I had maybe it was a Batman I had, and I think they were kind of beat up, and that was a reason why I had gotten rid of them. Alright, while we're sitting here and just kind of bullshit, nobody's even in here watching the stream anyways, like it matters. I wanted to look up the artist here, because like I said, I saw his name recently, and it's going to bother me if I can't remember what it is. Let's see. You know what? I bet you $1,000,000 it was Godzilla. Because that was the last video that I had done, and that's why it's so fresh in my memory, is from Godzilla. Let's see. There it is. He was the Godzilla artist. So that's where I knew him from. I was like, I don't know why my brain was just not, processing up that data for me, but there it was. Godzilla artist. Good stuff. See, my mind knew. I just had to confirm. Yeah, but this had Claremont on it, man. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. War as hell. Alright, so I think that we're gonna look at one more book, and then we're going to go through, uh, we'll go through one, we'll go through one issue of the Punisher, the original Punisher run. It's a double-sized issue, so it's gonna be, more than the standard amount of pages. And we'll look at the cover to these guys, but I think that we'll probably end up saving the Punisher, the original Punisher series to to its own video. So just right away is what I laugh at. So if you guys are aware, I was in the Marine Corps. I was a combat engineer. I was a fire team leader specifically for a machine gun team. So when it comes to 240s and 249s, I know pretty much everything that you need to know about them, and way more than what you probably should need to know about them. So one of my favorite things to do in like games, movies, and things like that, specifically look at like their 240s and their 249s to kind of see what they get right and don't get right. For the record, no way in hell that somebody's gonna be shooting this thing one-handed. Like, even if you're fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, dude, I mean, I'm assuming that he's trying to pass this thing off as a saw, but this is way too big to be a saw, so it's more like a 240. And good luck, dude, shooting that thing. One, they're extremely heavy, and the kick on them is just crazy. Usually, you would have a bipod on these as well. Um, and so what I laugh at is that this thing over here is actually like you see in movies that people like hold on to it onto the side. Technically, you could do that more often than not. That is actually to you flick it up, and then it's to pull the barrel off because you're shooting rounds through this. The barrel's going to get hot. You have to switch out your barrels. You have a parts bag that your egg gunner would carry that would have spare barrels in it. Because when this thing gets hot, once you feed all that ammo through it, you have to change it out. So you flick this up, the whole front of this barrel literally comes out. It's just gone, and then you just slap a new one on it, and then that thing just swivels back over, and that's how it locks into place. So kind of is like a carrying handle, but for the most part though, that is there to get the barrel on and off. To lock it into place without burning the fuck out of your hands, because this thing is going to be like cherry hot, especially if you're firing at like the cyclic rate, which should never happen. This thing's gonna get red hot, and you're gonna warp your barrel, and you don't want to do that because then your barrel's gonna be useless. So that's why you need to swap them out. All right, so this is going to be the Marvel Fumetti book. Essentially, what they were trying to do is they were trying to play into that. Man, the name of this art style I cannot remember, but there is an art style to where, uh, man, it's escaping me the comic terminology for it, but you're basically is where you're making comics out of photos rather than drawing. Um, It very well might be called Fumetti, to be honest with you. Um, I think that's what it is called. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. But basically, we have the cast of Marvel here, in terms of like um, the people that work there. So we got Jim Shooter, Stanley, so on and so forth, and kind of just showing them they're kind of making a mockery out of the style of comics that were getting popular in the 70s because, it really, in their eyes, it didn't require any talent. It was just you snap some photos and you just put some words on there, right? So they're poking fun at that, and as well, they're kind of trying to show, their artists and what they look like because, as you guys are aware, there weren't a lot of publications really talking about these guys back then besides themselves. They weren't getting interviews. There wasn't the internet or anything like that. If you guys want to be scarred for life, you can find this picture without Stan being photoshopped, and he is in nothing but underwear in this. Literally just shirtless, no pants, no socks, just straight up whitey tighties. And that picture is on the internet to be seen. And coincidentally, I had just randomly looked up just information on this book because obviously it is an obscure item. So I was just kind of like looking it up to kind of see what this was about, just more information on it, and that was like one of the very first things that popped up, and it's like, cool, thanks. It's pretty funny though. You know what I mean? It's just not what you expect to see is Stanley and his whitey tighties just chilling on a couch. So, again, if you guys want to check that out, there's a photo in here of this, and it's Stan Lee, and it's on the internet, and it's without this being a Photoshop, this Hulk section is just gone, so it's pretty funny. But yeah, the Marvel Fumetti book. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move over to the Punisher now. So this is going to be Punisher #1 from the original Punisher series. Really don't need to go into the background of the Punisher. Everybody, I think, at this point really knows who he is and what he's about, where he comes from, and all that good stuff. It's been talked to death. I don't think that there's been a lot of videos out there really talking about, the original Punisher in general, and I think that is because when it comes to Marvel stuff, especially nowadays, it's a lot more toned down than the stuff that you're going to be seeing in this book, especially. Mike Zeck is crazy with his art, and one of the things that I love about this book is the coloring, and coincidentally, Mike Zeck does that too. So imagine having that capability. I mean, a lot of cartoonists do, but in mainstream comics or being at a bigger comic company, having that capability to do pencil, ink coloring, having that kind of control over the work on it, kind of insane. And like I said, I think in my opinion, the strong suit of these books is the coloring. The coloring is so good in it. What a good image that is, man. Yep. Like I said, the coloring is definitely the thing that shines out to me. It's the best way to describe it is just like cold and very calculated looking, and how the Punisher should look, right? It's like it shouldn't have like warm, vibrant colors. I don't think it should be very muted, but still have some pops of color. Um, yeah, this is just like the golden standard. Like this is so good. Like, if I were to do a Punisher book, this is kind of what I would look at to get going. Man, like, these are straight outlaw faces on these dudes here. Um, I would look at trying to color it similar to like Watchmen and use more pastel colors and kind of see how that plays out. Yeah, everything in these books is just strong. Oh, Frank Castle. Like this dude, it's just so gritty, dude. Like this is nothing you would see a million years in a modern Marvel comic. Like, it would just never happen. Like, just literally, we're in a prison scene. And this dude's about to get like just gunned the fuck down in this prison cell. You know what they I don't think that's how that works. A silenced revolver. Somebody needs to talk to somebody and let Mike Zack know that that ain't how that works, brother. But okay, we got Spider-Man here. Looking for some Captain Crunch, apparently. Yeah, again, I'm just gonna keep saying it. The coloring, just look at this. Makes the biggest change in the world. The biggest difference in the world. Yeah. You can. I bought this entire run of the issues, which is just kind of funny to me. I'm just gonna show it to you guys. Because we're gonna be looking at the covers of these. And then I'm gonna bag and board some more comics. I'm probably gonna call it. There really hasn't been anybody hanging out in here like I was anticipating the last time I had streamed. We had like 100 people in here at one point, so kind of hoping for the same thing, but whatever. It is what it is. So yeah, so originally the plan for this book was for it to only run for 4 issues. As you can see, it says number 1 in a 4-issue limited series. So here's number 2. Just absolute badass cover, just like the most outlaw energy possible on it. That fucking Uzi is huge. That Mac 10. Same thing with this badass cover. Number 3 out of 4. And then this one is 4 out of 4. But it sold so good and it did so well, they couldn't stop at 4. So they did 5 out of 5. They just said, fuck it, we're going to add another issue in just to do it. Why not, right? It's pretty funny. But you never see these out in the wild. I'm just being honest with you guys. I have dug and dug and dug for these. You see random onesies and twosies out there, but you never see them as a full set. So my recommendation to you is, if you are going to be collecting Punisher books or interested in getting these Punisher books, which I highly recommend to do, because again, Marvel just doesn't do it like that anymore. I bought this entire set for $90, I want to say. Typically, you see this set, if you buy all of it together, it's usually about 1 to 120. All these books, for the most part, were very fine. Again, Dave over at West Coast Avengers gathered the set, sent it over to me, so big shout out to Dave for doing so. He's kind of become my main comics dealer for the most part. You know, and he's a friend of mine, and I love supporting what he does. The dude knows what I like to collect. We have similar tastes, so anything that he really grabs, and he's going to be selling on one of his sales, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? It's definitely going to be something up my alley. So if you haven't done so already, again, I recommend to check out his channel and the sales that he runs every other week on Wednesdays, and join us in there, because for the most part, I'm always in there hanging out in the chat, chatting with Dave, chatting with his mods, who also come and hang out on my channel. So if you kind of want to be part of our community, feel free to join us, and we'll be happy to chat with you guys. Okay, so that was pretty much everything that I had. That was all new that I haven't shown off previously. I'm just gonna sit here. I have a couple of books that I need to bag and board still. If anybody pops in here, you're more than welcome to ask any questions. I'm happy to flip through some of the books to kind of show them off if you wanted to see inside of them. But for the most part, though, we're just gonna start wrapping this up here. Okay, so I got like a pretty big stack over here. I'm just gonna show them off and then just move to the next one because again, I've already shown these in previous videos. It's more I'm just bagging and boarding, but just for the sake of what I'm doing, I'll just go ahead and show it anyways. So that is Ninja Cheyenne. That is made from a local collector, or sorry, a local artist. Basically, it is something that he had made, back in the 90s as a kid, and never really finished the book. Wanted to actually publish it as an adult. So he said, "Fuck it, finish it up, and put it out." And I picked it up for free from the comic book shop. He is just doing these things for free, it's kind of like a passion project sort of thing. So there's that. Again, Space Ghost. Can't say anything more about it. I think this is the strongest comic book series that's even going on right now, and I mean that 100%. It's just a damn Space Ghost comic. It tugs on your heartstrings. It has good action in it. It has good drawing in it. It has some lighthearted comedy moments in it. It literally has everything that you want in comics. And I cannot say anything more about it. I have a deep connection to Space Ghost, and the fact that they're making Space Ghost comics this good. Any more reason to continue to buy these? Just gonna say it again. Go buy these Space Ghost comics. Quit being a dum-dum. Another issue, the Powerpuff Girls at number 5. This was the issue that had some like Kaiju Powerpuff Girl mecha stuff going on in it. Pretty cool. One of the stronger issues, but like I said, that issue that we looked at earlier in the stream, number 6, man, that thing is sick. Was it number 6? Yeah, number 6. That thing is sick, man. Alright, that's going to be the Godzilla Monster Peace Theater number 2. Well, we had looked at that video. We had looked at this in the Godzilla video that I had just put out. Which all of my manga / Japan / Godzilla stuff has been doing pretty well, actually. Better than some of my other videos. So if that's what you guys are into, obviously I really enjoy it. And when it comes to like manga and anime, I'm more into the deep cut sort of stuff. So I'm not going to be giving your generic Hero Academia or your Attack on Titans. Like we're digging for the good stuff, right? Like as you should know by now, Sean over at Japan Book Hunter, is an acquaintance of mine, and the dude sells just the best books. I mean, if you're going to be dealing with manga, anime, and you want to get into that sort of thing, go over to japanbookhunter.com and shop from his website. It's like, I don't even know why I would even bother buying manga or anime or anything like that from anybody else. He really doesn't deal with anime, but you know what I mean, Japanese related things. movie pamphlets, posters, art, you name it. He's the guy to do it. He has the best options, and he knows what his collectors want. So if you're into the same sort of thing that I am into, he's into those sorts of things, and he sells a lot of it. Every time I go to his website, it is a pain for me not to buy stuff from him. You know what I mean? And it's like that's how good of a selection he has on his site of variety. All right, so this is just a copy of Hulk 340. Oh, looks like I am out of bags. I gotta go grab a new thing of bags. The pains of being a comic book collector, right, people? Bags and boards, the bane of every comic collector's existence. But if you want to keep your stuff, pristine, or at least keep it in a good condition, this is what you got to do instead of having a million floppies laying around. To be fair, though, I've had these floppies laying around for like a good month and a half, probably. So, it is what it is. Day of the Dead Girl #2. Showed that off in the last haul video that I had done. Again, we're just kind of bagging things up here as we're going along. Start wrapping it up. But they're fun little comics, though. AJ Lee, WWE fame, CM Punk's wife fame, does these books, and my girlfriend really enjoys them, so it's good stuff there. Again, if you guys are paying attention, I'm going to be giving this away. Going to be giving issue 1, 2, and 3 away to somebody whoever is first at grabbing it. Here's what I need from you. I'm just going to reiterate. I need a comment down in the video. Basically that you had watched the video. I need to know what you like about Blade. And then I need you to send me an email. You can find my email on the channel. Basically saying that you have left a comment, and then as well, I'm going to need your shipment information. Whoever is free is going to have grabs at it. I'm going to leave that open for a week. Once it is redeemed, I will leave a comment on the video to let you know that it's been claimed. So this Blade run of the polybag 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 is still sealed. I did open up #1. I didn't particularly care for it, so I still purchased #2 and 3 because they were in my pull box. So I'm going to give them out to you, beautiful ladies and gentlemen. So if you like some gorier Blade, here's your opportunity to get involved with the channel here and support what I'm doing, and I'll send you some comics. Alright, so this was that Crow issue, #3. It's good stuff, man. Can't go wrong with James O'Barr or anything. Dick Tracy number 6. I honestly think that these Dick Tracy books are kind of whatever. Um, I'm a big Dick Tracy guy. I prefer Chester's, original Dick Tracy from the newspaper strips. I have a big ass Treasury edition. Or it's not even a Treasury edition. It's actually like a newspaper size. Like this thing folds out and it's massive. The Dick Tracy comics. There is a DC Super Special that DC had put out in the 70s, I want to say. It's like that Treasury edition of Dick Tracy. That's a really good collection of Dick Tracy books that I recommend to grab. But yeah, I prefer the comic strip of Dick Tracy stuff. I like that cartoony nature of it. This is more of a grounded, gritty version of Dick Tracy, and it's kind of like, if you want that or into that, I can see that, because I don't necessarily think these are bad books. It's just not why I like Dick Tracy. You know what I mean? I like the goofy shit. It's a damn comic strip, people. It's a cartoon. It should be cartoony. Patra 4-4. This run ended finally. And I hope that these two do another book together, because it was great. All 4 issues were fantastic. They tried to label the book more as a horror 70s, like cult horror style, like B movie, sort of feel to it. I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as that as such. I would call this more like voodoo spiritual sort of feel. It's two different same kind of principle but different feels. You know what I mean? This has more of like that, like I said, like Louisiana sort of like swampy feel, even though it doesn't necessarily take place in those settings. That's just how it feels to me. So, good shit though, Patra. I fucking love this book. Alright, so last but not least, Johnny Quest number 4. I want to say that this was probably one of the weaker issues. Let me flip through this again to kind of jog my memory on this. Yeah, nothing super exciting really happens in this one. It's mostly just exposition that you get in this book, just a lot of story, which I think is obviously important, especially in the grand scheme of things and what's going on in the Johnny Quest universe. Again, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna keep saying it until somebody finally tells me that they have bought these books. Johnny Quest, Powerpuff Girls, Space Ghost. I preferably think that Space Ghost is the best, Johnny Quest, and then Powerpuff Girls, because some of the Powerpuff Girls issues have been questionable. But dude, the Johnny Quest and the Space Ghost issues, there has not been a miss. Do yourselves a favor, pick them up. Pick them up, please. I beg you. But yeah, that was the last comic that I really had. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna put everything into my phone. I organize everything so that way I know what I have, so I don't buy doubles. That was an issue with a while that, I forget what I have in my collection because I have so many books, and I would get home and start putting my stuff away and be like, oh, I already have a copy of this. So, take it upon myself to really start organizing my collection. I pulled everything out, rebag boarded everything, labeled everything, put it in my phone so that way I know what I do and don't have. So, that's what I recommend to do is, if you're starting out collecting, organize it early and don't let it get out of control. I had started to organize it and had stopped for like a month or two and just continuously kept getting books, and I was just throwing them in the box, and that's how this kind of starts getting that snowball effect and gets out of control. And I only let it go for that long, and it became like a good 2-hour project of just pulling out stuff that I didn't already have on my phone and finding out what I already didn't have on my phone and sticking it in there, so it's kind of a pain. But with that being said, I think that we're probably going to end up wrapping it up here. And as always, how I like to finish out, my videos or my streams, things that I recommend for you guys to pick up. Again, it's kind of what the purpose of this whole channel is to get you guys motivated to collect stuff, get you guys motivated to go out and draw, just get you guys involved in the community and the comics really in general. So if you are interested in the things that I do here, drawing, talking about comics, whatever it is. It's just I just want to inspire everyone. So it's gonna be the number 3 thing that I recommend to pick up is Love and Rockets collection. Anything Love and Rockets find. Again, I kind of shit my pants when I saw this at the comic book shop had it. Bought it at base retail, and then plus another 15% off. So can't go wrong, man. And again, you just never see Fantagraphic stuff here in Wisconsin, especially around the East Coast. So when I do see it, snatch it. Recommend to look through number 2. Recommendation would be the Punisher stuff. Again, you just don't see Marvel making this like they used to anymore. So gotta get it. You can grab all 5 issues for about $100 to $120, kind of depending. All right, number 1 recommendation. Beating a dead horse here, people. Space Ghost, Space Ghost, Space Ghost, Space Ghost, Space Ghost. Go out and buy these Space Ghosts. You can buy the collection. They put out in November. It collects the first 6 issues, and then you can just grab the singles after that. I'm sure they're probably going to end up doing more of these. I hope they do at least 30-issue run. Give us like a good, 2.5 years, 3 years worth of issues of this bad boy. That'd be sick. All right, well, I think that's where we're probably going to end up wrapping it up and calling it. So as always, thanks for hanging out and talking comics, everybody. I will probably have a video out probably sometime towards the end of the week. If not, we're going to be doing another stream towards the end of the week. I'm going to be kind of busy this upcoming week with a bunch of new stuff that I have, in personal life. So video is kind of up for debate, but I'm definitely going to be putting out content. It's just when that's going to be going up, and how long of a video, that's up for debate, but I'm definitely going to be doing another stream next week, so you can look forward to that. And then, like I said, until next time, thanks for bringing out talking comics. Peace, everyone.